Thank you, Cahill. Minister, the town of Thurles and Mid-Tipperary has lost a huge number of factories and employers over the past 30 years. With the efforts of all the stakeholders, we are working hard to reverse this trend. Just last year, we secured the National Apprenticeship Centre, which is now located in town, and there are over 250 apprentices sited there today. We have our small and medium enterprises which are showing initiative and striving forward despite the difficulties. We have OMC, an engineering company based in Thurles, founded and driven by Mid-Tipperary business people. We have Dew Valley, a processing company who is also a significant employer. However, Minister, an opportunity presents itself to Thurles and Mid-Tipperary today that needs the support of government and government policy. Lisheen, just outside Thurles, has been designated as a national research centre for the bioeconomy. Thanks to the research of Professor Kevin O'Connor and his team at UCD and the pilot work done by Glanbia, we will see a biorefinery on the site in a relatively short time. And this is just the beginning, Minister. This site and the research that is happening there has the potential to turn the waste from the agri and agri-food industry into a high-value, globally traded commodities. With resultant jobs and supports connected to it, it can be a game-changer, not just for Tipperary, but for rural development in rural Ireland as a whole. The product and energy from the bioeconomy will be to the 21st century what oil was to the 20th, and we in Ireland are ideally placed to capitalise on it. The site at Lisheen is perfect in many ways. It is flat, it has scale, it has high voltage electricity and green energy available, and a water supply that matches the size of the site. However, there is one piece of the jigsaw missing, and this is a connection to the national gas network. But, Minister, this can be solved at a relatively small cost. And if you consider the benefits to the state, which are outlined to you, Minister, it would be an investment that could make a return to the state of a magnitude never before seen. If this final part of the infrastructure was brought to Lisheen, the site would immediately be attracted to the pharma and food industry, or a mixture of both. It would fit all the criteria required for a hub for the international data centre industry. It would be a shining example of how to create rural development which could be replicated right around the country. If the national gas network was connected to Lisheen with a bioeconomy focus on the site, it is very easy to see the biogas industry being attracted. This could help to achieve the national target of 30% of all gas used in Ireland coming from biogas by 2030. Because the biogas produced at Lisheen could be pulled back into the national gas grid. And with this potential payback, I would argue strongly, Minister, that it is easy to justify the investment. The gas work can get to Lisheen site from Cashel in County Tipperary. It will have the added benefit that the shortest route will run adjacent to Thurles, which will be the nearest urban centre to the Lisheen site. And Lisheen will be the key anchor tenant. It will justify connecting Thurles, as Tipperary Co-op was for Tipperary Town, the Goodman factory was for Care, and Arabon for Nina. And as Thurles will provide the role of urban support to a fully functional site, which will ultimately see hundreds of employees, it is only sensible that Thurles is connected to the network as part of this project. Because this will have the added effect of supporting existing industry in the town and also make the town itself attractive for industry of all kinds. Minister, there are a number of steps that must be taken to progress this project. First of all, a robust feasibility study must be carried out as soon as possible. This study must see input from your department and also from the Department for Jobs and Innovation. It must also include input from Tipperary County Council, who are passionate about the project. And the study must include all aspects of climate change that the project can benefit. I believe this study can be done for about €90,000. Now, with this feasibility study done, it will be possible to make an application for funding to Project Ireland 2040 as early as next September.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Deputy Jackie Cahill for raising this issue. I'm sure the Deputy knows that the way in which this works is that Gas Networks Ireland is a commercial state-sponsored body, and they are regulated by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities. And the Commission for the Regulation of Utilities have developed a network connections policy. And under that policy, industrial users or towns or groups within a region can make an application to be considered for a connection. And the criterion that the regulator sets is that the net present value of the revenues over a 25-year period must exceed the net present value of the costs of the connection. That's the criterion it applies. Now, I gather from what I'm told within the department is the last time the Tipperary region that you're considering applied was over 10 years ago, and Thurles didn't qualify at that stage for a connection. Since then, I think the system has been evolved in that groups of towns can apply, so that if there are connections between Lisheen that might add additional payload, those can be included. So from the point of view of Gas Networks Ireland, they would need to see a proposal coming forward with various payloads and needs for energy and for gas usage coming from industrial users and from towns. Clearly, they can't assume that just by providing gas that everyone will connect, because there is a connection charge and there's also the cost of adjusting your own heating system to a gas system. So they have to conduct this study, and as I say, the area you're talking about hasn't made an application in 10 years. So clearly, if the businesses that are developing in Lisheen have a gas requirement, that can be added as part of a submission, which would be evaluated under the connections policy that the CRU have enunciated. And Gas Networks Ireland would then, if you like, apply that. But based on what you said, I don't know from what you outlined there, what industrial users are already there. Gas Networks Ireland doesn't provide, if you like, speculative extension of the line without having an indication that the demand is there, because naturally they're a commercial user. So there has to be the establishment of a demand. So there would have to be projects coming on stream approved by whether it be Enterprise Ireland or IDA or whoever, Teagasc, projects coming on stream. So that is the system. My department is looking at whether that system, whether there's any other dimensions like environmental dimensions that could be a top-up to simply looking at the pure net present value. And I understand a report will come to me shortly evaluating that. But those would be looking at things like the carbon savings that might accrue and whether the net present value criteria are taking those into account. However, the overall approach is as I outline. So I think what the local promoters of the various initiatives that you're suggesting, whether it be biogas, those will have to be developed to a point where they're close to approval as viable projects before the Gas Networks Ireland could be in a position to apply its system. So I think that's I'm trying to be as helpful as possible. Of course, applications to the Climate Action Fund are of a more innovative or to disruptive technologies, where there's more innovative initiatives coming forward. Those could apply to the likes of the Climate Action Fund, where they would be looked on their value in terms of carbon impact.
Thank you, Kyla. Minister, I suppose I am actually encouraged by your answer, because 10 years ago there was no Lisheen site adjacent to Thurles, no bioeconomy centre there. The biorefinery has got serious funding and has got the largest ever grant funding from the EU. That biorefinery is going to start on the site next year. That has the capacity to deal with 50,000 tonnes of lactose whey. So, our county council are very enthusiastic about the potential of the Lachine site and what the Lachine site can do. As regards, sustainable food production, Minister, and sustainable food production is going to be the byword of the 21st century. And the Lachine site and the research that's gone into the Lachine site, and the fact that it is the bioeconomy centre, I have no doubt that the potential and the usage will be there. And Minister, my ask for you today is that the feasibility study that our County Council have asked that would be done on the potential for Thurles and the Lachine site for the gas connection would be undertaken. And as I said in my first intervention, we reckon that would come at a cost of €90,000. So I'd say to Minister, do this feasibility study for us. And I'm confident in the extreme that you will see the huge potential that is here on this site and for the Thurles area. And, companies, Glanbia have already bought into this biorefinery. We're in the heart, of the agri-food industry in this location. You have Arabon, Dairygold, Tipperary Co-op and even Lakelands within close vicinity. You have numerous meat factories as well there. And the waste coming from all those can be used in the bioeconomy going forward to produce, as what I said, valuable commodities that can be traded commercially. So, the potential of Lachine is immense, and I suppose Thurles, just the fact that it is adjacent to it, would be a twin project to connect the two. But Minister, my ask today is of you, and I think this can be a template for the whole of rural Ireland and for rural development. Do the feasibility study for us, give us the money to do the feasibility study, and we can prove that the usage will be there going forward, and the connection will ensure that this bioeconomy site thrives and thrives into the future.
I think the Deputy probably needs to look at the connection policy, because it sets out the framework that you need to fulfil. So you need to identify the businesses that are the potential users of gas. What are the scale of them? There are concessionary rates, if you like, for connection charges, where there are SMEs, where there are small businesses, they get a more concessionary rate. You need to identify what are the new estates that might be coming on stream that would use, and you need to identify other towns along the route that might connect in. So Gas Networks Ireland isn't going to undertake an assessment of all of these. These are based on projects that are coming forward, enterprises that have been identified that are about to be approved or supported by IDA or Enterprise Ireland. It's when those enterprises are identified and that they have a demand for gas, then Gas Networks Ireland can assess whether that will be connected. But Gas Networks Ireland nor the department don't, if you like, go speculatively looking to see could we create a demand for gas. That's not the way the system works. This has been regulated by the CRU. So while by all means, if we see the emergence of new biorefinery activities and they have a gas demand, that will trigger an application to the connections policy and give you the opportunity of passing the test that's applied. But this isn't, if you like, they don't lay pipes in advance in the hope that industries might set up. That's not the approval system that they have. There has to be a baseline of work to justify the investment that they are make. They are a commercial company, and that's the way they have to operate under their regulated system.